So Lincoln, let's talk about this because I want to put this into perspective in terms of what business email compromise looks like by providing a more familiar scenario that I think a lot of us have experienced.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people are intimidated by cybersecurity or they hear forensics, they hear detection and response, but we're all very familiar with that friend on Facebook whose accounts get hacked, right? And typically we see after that attacker gets into that account, we see the classic Ray-Ban scam or whatever that attacker is running. But they want to impersonate that user, leverage the trust that that user has and get people to click on these links and fill out these malicious invoices, right? In this case, I said invoice. Really, what it looks like is a fake shopping page where you're getting these discount Ray-Bans, and the attacker's really looking for that $50 payout or whatever it is in that case at a much larger scale. And that's exactly the same motion as a business email compromise, right? It's just much more targeted with a much higher dollar amount, but they want to get into that user, impersonate them, and leverage that trust to then get those malicious invoices from those clients, business partners. But we're going to see what these actually look like. They sent out a lot of emails to get these, and they're getting much more targeted because the payout for these is an average of 137K. So much bigger financial incentive, but
Goodness.
exact same type of attackers doing these.
Well, let's talk about getting past because, a lot of firms shit it. They're going to have MFA. They're going to have email security. They do the training. They have endpoint protection. They've got all these policies. Why are these attacks still succeeding?
Yeah, I would say that the first thing to recognize here is that the law firms have made the right investments. MFA, email security, endpoint protection, and security awareness training. They all remain essential, and they're doing exactly what they're designed to do. I think the challenge is that the attackers have somewhat changed their approach, and now instead of trying to break into devices or exploit servers, they're increasingly trying to operate with trusted identities. um, if they can authenticate as a legitimate Microsoft 365 users, they immediately inherit access to email, your Teams, SharePoint, uh, your document repositories, and the day-to-day communications that keep the law firm running. That's especially valuable in legal environment because those accounts are, they do contain privileged attorney-client communication, some litigation strategy, transactional documents, settlement discussions, other highly confidential information in a law firm. So the attacker doesn't have to break your security controls anymore. They simply have to convince the organization that they're a trusted employee, right? So these attacks continue to succeed. And the question at this point is no longer just like, can we stop them from logging in? But it's also if someone does gain access, how quickly can we recognize that they're no longer behaving like a legitimate user? We want to know very quickly whether their behavior has changed, right? From what it was normally to what we're seeing now. And that's why, the prevention remains essential, but visibility after the authentication has become just as important.